Hi guys, so let's talk about shadow work that every witch does. So shadow work is not something that's been separate from witchcraft ever. It's a part of witchcraft. It's a part of the craft. But it's also a term in psychology, and as you know, I'm also a licensed therapist. So it's not just for witches, obviously, and it's not just for spell work. Shadow work is not just for spell work. However, it's an essential part of spell work. Why? Because you need to be in the right vibration to receive your spell manifest, which just basically means that you don't want to be blocking the spell with your energy. So the spells, as you know, they do always work if they're done properly, if they're done by a true caster, by a true witch. They will always give pushes to your target. Of course, magic is natural. Magic does not force anyone. Magic can't force anyone, and people always have free will. So it's up to the target to react or not. However, when they want to react, if your energy is blocking them, they're not going to be able to. So this is why we do shadow work in witchcraft, basically. But shadow work in general is good for your vibration, obviously, and for your well-being. So shadow work is not only gonna help your spell manifest, it's also gonna improve your overall well-being and everything. And what is shadow work? Shadow work is basically working on yourself, on your shadows, so on your issues, so on your triggers, your limiting beliefs, all of that stuff that I tell you. So obviously, I explain it in a way that is not like witchy witchy, but okay, now I'm gonna try and explain it differently. So basically, we all have a shadow. We all have a shadow, and you can call this differently because it has different names. In witchcraft, we call it a shadow, and the way I present it to you, I just call it your limiting beliefs, your triggers, your past traumas. All of that is your shadow, basically. So it doesn't have to be associated with something traumatic. It can just be some behavioral patterns or, some triggers you might have, but most of us will have some sort of trauma, obviously. And every single person will have a shadow. So more you can integrate yourself with this shadow, more healthier you will feel. Okay, so it's crucial for your development, and it's crucial to help you become the best version of yourself. And there's a lot of approaches to shadow work. So this is the thing. And not all of them will work for everyone. But basically, I'm just going to explain what it is. There are different techniques, and as you know, we have some techniques on the channel. We have a workshop with some exercises for it, and we have some meditations for that, and a bunch of things. But these are just techniques to help you with this work, because shadow work is something you can do on your own, or you can go to a therapist, or you can work, in whichever way you want to. Okay, so let's explore it a bit more. So there's a lot of benefits to shadow work, and the thing that you need to understand first is that your shadow um, is not something horrible or bad. It's a natural part of who you are. So, when you make mistakes, or when you have a bad side of you and things like that, when you react in a way that's not, the nicest, um, it's a natural part of you who you are basically rejecting. You don't want to face it. You kind of avoiding thinking about it, and you avoid dealing with it. And you need to understand your shadow, understand where it comes from, and heal yourself. So that's basically what it is. It's about developing self-awareness, because most of us, before we start, this whole journey, are not aware of our reactions, not aware of our limiting beliefs. So most people in general are not aware of any of this. They're not aware of triggers they have. They're not aware of, just the way they react and why they do it. So it's about developing self-awareness. So knowing that this shadow exists, accepting that this shadow exists, and accepting why it exists. So it's not about avoiding this stuff. It's about being aware of them, becoming aware of them, understanding it, because this will not go away. You will not magically, just forget about all of that stuff. That's not the point of it, okay? So, shadow work is often therapy and also spiritual work. So, as I always say, for example, when I do coaching, it's a combination of therapy and vibrational work. So it's kind of both, and you need to do both. It's really important. So this helps you to see different parts of yourself, the parts that you are ignoring, the parts that you're neglecting, the parts you don't think about, the parts you don't like about yourself. So you avoid, researching those parts, and they're very, very important. Okay. Um, Shadow work is about acknowledging the existence of your shadows and getting curious about exploring them, because you need to know these things. It's important. You need to know yourself, and there's so much more to you than just, your conscious self. Okay. Um, so, like I said, it doesn't have to be associated with trauma necessarily, but if it is, it's gonna help you work through your traumas and embrace the part of yourself that's been suppressed or shamed throughout your life. Very important. By accepting your shadow self, you can start to see how your thoughts and emotions influence your behavior. That's very important. So, this is when we come to triggers and the way we react and the way we communicate our needs. Okay. When you are aware of all of this, then you can take control and empower yourself to live life more deliberately. So, more consciously. So, to actually pay attention how you're going to react, to stop yourself from reacting badly, to just stop yourself from being triggered. Okay. And you can start to show up as your authentic self, which is what's the most magnetic thing, like we have said in the audio yesterday. You are magnetic. Listen to it if you haven't. So being magnetic is actually being yourself. It's being yourself, but your true self, your authentic self. So yourself without all of this stuff that are bothering you right now. Okay. So with shadow work, you can gain more confidence and self-esteem, which you definitely need. Okay. You can obviously improve your vibration. You can build better relationships with others, because only when you fully love and accept yourself, you can fully love and accept others. You can practice self acceptance. You can discover a lot of things about yourself, which is quite important. You can even remember some stuff from the past that you forgot, or that you have deliberately, forgot. It's just gonna come up just on its own from your subconscious. You're gonna notice that. Okay. You're gonna improve your overall wellness. So every aspect of your life, because repressing your shadow, that leads up to all sorts of problems in all sorts of areas. It doesn't just have to be love. It doesn't just have to be how you react in romantic relationships. It can be a lot of things. Like I always say, when your vibration increases, all the areas in your life are going to start improving. You're going to start getting, nice things in general, and different reactions in general. Okay. And again, it doesn't mean that you're not gonna have bad things happen to you. That doesn't mean that bad things are always gonna happen to everyone, because that's a part of life and that's how we learn and grow, and it can't be stopped. And you can't just have beautiful things in life because it's impossible, you know. It just isn't something that is realistic, and that's just something you have to accept. Okay. So it can help you have better clarity, or you know, and by this I mean on how your thoughts, emotions, and feelings lead you to act the way you do. Like I already mentioned, you know, how you react, how you communicate your needs, how you what triggers you, all of those things. Okay. So that is basically why we do shadow work and why it's important. And like I said, every single witch does this every single day because it's a constant work. It doesn't just end somewhere. It's just something that is really, really important. What's very important to mention, so I'm going to mention a few things, okay? Um, I have some notes, just a second. Right. So it's very important to think back to your childhood because everything will come from there. So often people, when they even try to do shadow work, they're just gonna think, okay, so what happened in this last relationship? Because this is your focus at the moment. You're trying to bring this ex back, right? So you're just gonna focus on that, or you're just gonna focus maybe on your love life, on your relationships that you had and your exes. But that's not where you look for answers. You have to think back to your childhood, not these men. They're like not that relevant as it seems to you, or women, whoever it is, okay? So explore the parts of you that have been treated badly, or you know, less nicely when you were a child. So you know, something your parents did, something, if you were bullied by other kids or by, you know, teachers or by your brothers and sisters, which emotions were you punished for having, basically, because you know how we get punished when we are kids. So maybe you were told to get over their sadness, sorry, your sadness, or you were told to, you know, that you're overreacting. Um, and as a result of that, those emotions got repressed. Or maybe you did not feel chosen because maybe you had a younger brother or sister, and it seemed like your parents liked them more than you, so you didn't feel chosen. Or just like in with your friends, you didn't feel chosen, or maybe you didn't have any friends, so that's why you didn't feel chosen. It can be anything really, and it's honestly, um, it's going to depend right, on a person. I'm just giving some examples. So always think back to your childhood, okay? Also, don't feel ashamed of your shadow. Don't feel ashamed of these things that happen to you, because often, you know, we're going to feel shame when we were a victim of something or someone. um, so you have to have compassion for yourself, and don't feel as a victim. Victim mentality is extremely bad, as you know. But also don't feel ashamed that something happened to you, or you know, whatever happened, don't be ashamed. Just accept it, and practice some loving words toward yourself and your shadow. For example, I trust you, I believe you, I'm glad you're in my life. I love you. You are worthy of love. You are enough. You're chosen. You deserve happiness. You deserve the best. You have a lot to offer. Things like that. Okay. Then definitely observe your triggers. This is extremely important. Your triggers are the key. So you can meditate to observe your triggers. Um, and just notice the triggers that cause emotional reactions within you, that cause you to get angry, that cause you to get like jealous, that basically cause you to get anxious, that make you anxious. So once you do that, you can meditate on them, so that you can like take a step back and observe what's really happening without judgment. So when emotions come up, just allow yourself to have them, to feel them. Um, you can also write things down, keep a journal about all of this. A lot of clients, they will, and this is something that obviously us witches, we do the same. So a lot of clients will write things down, and it's very important and very helpful. So I do recommend it. Um, what else? Let me see if we have any more notes. Not really. I think that's it. Okay. So I just wanted to kind of make a short audio about shadow work, because it's basically everything that I talk about, but I just wanted to approach it a bit differently, because I know that, different people, they need different approaches. So, anyways, I hope this was inspiring. Bye, guys.